Linguistic dimension, bilingual mixing. Now we will look at more closely at the bilingual mixing from the linguistic dimension. So studies in early bilingualism have found that yes, the children of bilingual parents or within a bilingual family, they do use more than one language as early as when they start to speak one word at a time. Then even they are code mixing. So there is no difference of opinion that it actually happens at very early stages of child development. However, the issue is about explaining whether this is being used through or with a single language system or with a double or a binary language system. And more often than not, researchers use this as an evidence to say that that this code mixing is based on a single or unitary language system. As we said earlier, Jeannie points out that there are some methodological issues both in the way the data has been collected and how the data is interpreted. So if you reinterpret it or reanalyze it, you might come across or you might come up with different results. So Jeannie argues that children are actually psycholinguistically capable of differentiating between two languages. So they have this perception and they have this psycholinguistic ability to see these as two different language systems. And that is evident from the way they code mix. They use the two languages in different functions, and they use it strategically to get things done or to perform certain functions and within the given context. So that is, they are both sensitive to the context, they are sensitive to the interlocutor, that is the one who they are talking to, and they are sensitive to the kind of thing they want to do with the use of that language. So he says that this is what is the evidence of differentiated language systems in early bilingualism. Now, before we move on to look at his paper in more detail, he defines certain terms and we need to be on the same page to see what he means in the paper. So he says when we are talking about bilingual development, so every time we do that, we are referring to simultaneous bilingualism. That is, both languages have been learned at birth together. We are not looking at bilingualism that comes at a later stage. That is, a child has this first language, then he or she goes to a school or in a different context and picks up the other languages. So all the arguments that we are going to make in the coming modules will relate to simultaneous bilingualism, that is, bilingualism acquired at birth. The first language will be the language whenever we are talking about is the language that is learned by the child at birth. The second language acquisition will be a reference to the language that has been learned after the first language. When we refer to mixing, then we are talking about this switching or interaction of the two languages that the child has been exposed to. And when we are talking about a single utterance, then we might be talking about an utterance or speech at the level of syntactic elements. We might be talking about phrasal, lexical or morphological. That would mean we might be talking about words, we might be talking about change or inflection within the words, we might be talking about the sounds of the words, and we might be talking about the grammar or the structure of a sentence when we are talking about single utterance. However, when we talk about utterance and we are talking about early childhood, then we might be talking about a single word at a time, because a child moves from a single word stage to two-word stage and henceforth. So that is a problem that that has come. Researchers have come across whenever they're studying early bilingualism, that the child's early language is actually about the use of single words at a time.